this article popped up again. Now, who's feeding what information into this? But it talks about Ukraine fearing this, well, because it's in Australian media, being forgotten by Australia. Like I said, the public awareness seems to have shifted over to, like, Palestine seems to be the one issue that everyone can think about at one time. Many different things, like the situation hasn't really changed in Ukraine, hasn't changed in other places. It's just the being at the forefront of public awareness seems to have changed. And so, to talk about yet not pledging new military equipment. Well, okay. They'd only recently finished delivering the last batch, but it's this idea that the public awareness and mass protests for or against it just seem to have stopped. I got an inkling of it when I was watching some European-based sporting competition earlier in the year, and in the previous couple of years, blue and yellow flags, plus some red and black ones, which I think people might have slowly started to realise should not have been shown, or indicates or what that actually represents. It's kind of funny. Their words say, "Oh, we don't support this," but if you wave the flag, well. So yeah, okay, fine. Drone strikes, blah 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 blah. But yeah, so they've come out begging for more assistance and stuff. It's like, well, hang on. And the question is, why is Australia have a role in it? We're on the other side of the world. Like, what impact? We didn't have large Ukrainian populations. We didn't have large Russian populations. But somehow it is on us to materially supply one side or the other. I mean, I'm not necessarily advocating for isolationism, but if you're going to be materially involved like that, you're going to accept that you're going to attract criticism or support. You become involved, and therefore the actions of the side you're materially supporting, you are tacitly approving. So when they start lying about things or engage in war crimes, then that reflects badly on you, because you've effectively supported, allowed it. It's the idea of a kill chain. Everybody in that kill chain has an involvement in the final carrying out of the operation. Yep, the operator at the far end who actually pulls the trigger, pushes the button, whatever, has ultimate responsibility, but everybody in that entire chain of support has a degree of responsibility towards what took place, because without that chain of support, there's no way that person could have achieved anything at the far end. But yeah, no, this is kind of interesting. Now, the other interesting thing to come out of, they say they've arrested somebody about the shooting of Andre Perubi. I think I've pronounced that okay. Now, people come out and said, oh, he's, yeah, he'd been involved in Ukrainian politics since before Ukrainian independence, so from 1990. Do I need to say any more? It's like everybody in the reporting has completely ignored what this guy stood for. Oh, we don't support Nazis. What's that? What does Nazi actually stand for? What political stance is it? NatSoc, National Socialism. Well, hello, what party did he form? The Social National Party. And we're being told that Ukraine doesn't have this sort of stuff still happening. Now, it says, oh, he's left it later on. Well, you helped form the party. Your politics and ideology isn't that far away from it. People don't tend to have massive ideological flips in their lifetime. And so I was reading the previous articles about it. It's like, well, okay, it's kind of interesting why this assassination took place so far west and why this guy was targeted. Now, when I read about his active involvement in Ukrainian politics since before independence, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. This guy's been actively involved since the early 90s. Yep, pretty cool in terms of longevity in the system, and quite clearly he's pro-Ukrainian. And then there was a throwaway line it was actually a BBC article saying, he founded this party. And I'm like, wait a second, that name looks scarily familiar to another name from history, to another political party from history that we're told doesn't exist in that region anymore, or they don't exist. Now, before hovering over this link just then, I mean, I knew the name, and it was like it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see who is finally, what I don't think we'll ever get the truth in what took place. Obviously, there's the suspicion is pointing at Russia that they did it, and the Russians are like, it wasn't us. Again, it's probably now my personal suspicion is that it's either been done by the FSB, so by Russian, not necessarily secret police, by Russian intel, or by the SBU, by Ukrainian side of things. Now, why would I say the SBU? Why would I suspect the SBU in this? Well, okay, look at this picture of what his party was that he'd started. I don't think, I mean, nothing in the reporting suggests that he's been saying things like that to embarrass Ukraine going forward from recently, but the SBU were involved in the extrajudicial execution of one of the negotiators from the initial peace talks in 2022, where he was basically kidnapped, captured, not long after the talks, and they claim he died accidentally, but executed by the SBU. And the death of that guy was kind of telling as to what the future would be, because he was one of the few people that both Russia and Ukraine kind of respected. He had political and economic presences in both, mainly economic, he's mainly a business guy, presence with Russia and Ukraine. He was ideologically probably in favour of EU alignment for Ukraine. He wasn't a hardline pro-Russian. He wasn't hardline for Ukraine either, but he was certainly in favour of Ukraine. But he was somebody that the Russians respected from the Ukrainian side. And so had there been a real desire to achieve peace at that time, he would have been one of the key negotiating players. But he was executed by the SBU, or killed accidentally by the SBU. So it's not unknown for the SBU to take out Ukrainians. Now, I don't see anything in the reporting that alleges this guy had anything to do with the Russians or anything like that. But at the same time, we can only go by what is being given to us in the media. And so I think there's certainly a lot more to whatever's taken place. Now, chances are it possibly was something from Russian alignment, but at the same time, given his political background, I could see that there would have been people within Ukraine who were very much opposed to what he stood for. Now, he was active during the Euromaidan protests and things like that, So again, when Russia said, oh, there were active Nazis involved with things. Yeah. And we all pretended that nothing was. It really doesn't help the narrative. I mean, at the end of the day, the guy got killed. But there's, I think, a lot more to what happened than we're being told. Quite obviously, his political stance is being swept under the carpet. But it's interesting to see that come through. So, yeah, I mean, they claim they've arrested someone who was acting as a delivery driver.